I grew up the youngest girl of 7 children in the US. My mom grew up the oldest of 6 in Vietnam. So growing up with my mom was not like the Gilmore Girls. I don't have many childhood memories of her. I learned how to tie my shoes from my brother, I learned how to tell time from my sister, and I learned all of the songs from The Little Mermaid by transcribing the script with my other sister. My mother, on the other hand, was a fear-based ruler. So as a kid, I was scared of her. When I got older, I resented her. And we didn't really speak, we fought. So it was just really, really hard growing up with her. In high school, all I wanted was to go to college to get the hell out of my parents' house. When I graduated and moved back, all I wanted was to get a job, to get the hell out of my parents' house. I don't know when my instinct as my mother's daughter shifted from stay away at all costs to something different, but somewhere in there it did. It's probably a combination of a bunch of things. I did move out, which was huge. And I did start to pursue a certification in life coaching. So I got caught up in all that Oprah, authenticity, woo-woo stuff. So it definitely helped. Now, in 2006, Virginia voted to add to our state constitution that my marriage will only be recognized by the law if I choose to marry one man. I was totally crushed by this. I didn't want to marry one man. I wanted to marry a woman. So I just felt really heavy and droopy and really sad. So that night, I end up talking to my mom on the phone, and she says that my sister told her that I could change from being a lesbian if I wanted to. She says, "I hope you can change." I couldn't handle that shit. So I get off the phone, I curl up on my bed, and I just sob my eyes out. I spent a lot of my life being mad at my mom for not loving me for who I was and for wanting me to change. So in other words, for most of my life, I wanted my mom to change. I just never said it to her. My mom is who she knows how to be. She does the best she can with what she has, right? I never did a good job of loving her for who she was. So once I realized that, things got a lot better. And really realized it, felt it. Things got enormously better. And it wasn't about just doing a better job tolerating her. I've been doing that, right? I wanted to actually like her and want to talk to her and want to be around her. Slowly but surely, this happened. So a few years ago, I go to my parents' house to visit them. Imagine that. So I get there and they're eating dinner I'd already eaten, so I sit down just to hang out. Imagine that, hanging out with my parents. And my mom says, "Jenny, I tell you what happened to me?" "No, what happened to you?" She proceeds to tell me a story for the first time in my life. Now, as a storyteller, that's pretty damn huge. And quite frankly, I wish she were here to tell you this story, because it was so good. But she's not as willing as I am to put her shit on blast. So once again, upon hearing my mother's words, tears come to my eyes, but this time it's because I am laughing so hard I am crying. She says, the night before, she's sitting in the kitchen reading, when she hears a sound coming from the door leading out to the deck. Gawk, 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 gawk. My mom actually makes these sounds. It was magical. She stops, she looks up, but then she doesn't hear it again, so she says, all right, whatever, goes back to reading. Now my dad at this point is in a different room reading, so then she hears the sound again. Gawk, 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 gawk. Now she remembers that she has a cooler on the deck with pears in it, because for my mom, when it's between 32 and 40 degrees, the entire outdoors is a magical, natural refrigerator, right? So she has this cooler out there. And it sounds like maybe something is scratching on this cooler. So she gets up, puts on her paper, walks over there, pulls the string that makes the blinds go like this. And there in front of her, she sees someone staring right back at her, and she's telling me the story, and she says, "She, look at me." And all I'm thinking is, holy shit, there's an intruder on the deck, and my mom is looking at her. So she starts going nuts and starts yelling for my dad, both in Vietnamese and in English. "Oh, Dad, Dad!" And then she suddenly stops because she realizes that when she moves, the intruder moves in the same way. Because the intruder is actually her own reflection in the door. Yeah, my mom. So she does that thing, you know, where you've just done something really embarrassing and you look around to see if anyone saw you. My dad still hadn't come. I don't know what the hell he was doing. So, whatever. So she goes, and so she starts to check out the sound, right? So she opens the door really slowly, and there, sitting next to her cooler, is an animal staring back up at her. Again, my mother does this. I wish I had a picture of her. So and again she says, "Look at me." And it eat my pear. So of course, by this time, this is when the tears are falling down my face from the laughter. Once I regain my composure, I say, "Mom, what was it? What animal was it?" She doesn't know. So I then ask her if she can draw me a picture, which is a ridiculous question because I've never seen my mom draw anything in her life. She's only telling me a story for the first time now. But she says yes. So I'm so excited, I run and I get her a pen and paper, put it down, and okay. So the first thing she says, because she can't stop talking about this one characteristic, right? She's like, "Big eye! It had big eye and it ate my pear." So the first thing she does is to draw the big eye. You're big. And it ate my pear. And I look at this and I say, okay, does it have a nose? Because usually there's a nose between the eye and the mouth. She says, "Oh yeah, nose." And I'm looking at this and I say, okay, what did its body look like? She says, "Look like..." Now, this animal resembles nothing I have ever seen in my life, except for maybe the symbol for the women's bathroom. So I say, "Mom, did it have fur? Was it furry?" She says, "What fur?" And she says, "Oh, fur, yeah." All right? Didn't help. Now, at this point, it is pretty clear that my mother's eyewitness account of this animal will not help us identify it. But I'm still trying to figure out what it is. So I say, "Well, what color was it?" So she turns to my dad, starts talking it over with him in Vietnamese. She says, blah. So all I hear is blah, 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 "Mao Sun, blah, blah, blah." I turn to my dad. "Dad, doesn't Mao Sun mean blue?" Yes, it does. So at this point I say, I mean, we're all laughing. I say, I have no idea what you saw. It looks like you saw an alien. But, you know, I just start thinking about it and I think, what animal is gonna come onto your deck, open your cooler, take out a pear, put it in its mouth, look at you like this? I'm thinking it's gotta be a raccoon, right? So I go to the computer, I look up a picture of a raccoon, show it to my mom. Here is a picture of a raccoon. My mother looks at it. She says, "Yes, that's it." And I say, "This is what you saw. This is what you drew." And she says, "Yes, same." And so, the amazing thing is, right, that once I learned to respect my mother's nature, she showed me a side of it that I never dreamed I'd get to see.